What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fins. My name is Aaron, and today we're checking out the new album Stigma by the band Wage War. This is the 5th studio album from the metalcore band since they formed in 2010. It took them about 5 years for them to drop their debut album Blueprints, which absolutely blew the metalcore community away. And to this day, I feel like it still holds up with very powerful tracks like Hollow, 21, The River, and the painfully emotional Youngblood. They followed it up in 2017 with the album Deadweight, which had some aggressive moments on it, but the band, I feel like, explored more of their sensitive side. Like the title track and Stitch are really heavy, but also Gravity is really heavy with the feels. And honestly, for me, that's one of my favorite songs that they've ever done. I know a lot of people, it's like a love-hate relationship with Wage War's, like I said, sensitive side and their heavier side, but songs like Gravity, it's just hard for me to listen to that one less than 3 times. The next album, Pressure, would see them making a move right out of Bring Me the Horizon's book, where they would completely switch up their sound. A lot of fans were still, well, fans, but a lot of other fans were completely turned off, saying that Wage War sold out. They changed up their sound to reach a bigger audience, get on bigger stages, and make more money. And personally, I kind of agree with the criticisms because that is probably why they did it. But at the same time, I understand why people were still fans, because the music they were making wasn't really bad. It was just so different compared to what originally won people over. They continued the step further away from this and further into the generic metalcore side of things when they released the album Manic in 2021. And it was mixed matched. They had some of their old school heavy stuff on there, but they also had some of the generic stuff, and it kind of felt promising. Like, Wage War can do this. They can have generic sounding stuff mixed in with traditional metalcore and make it work. And also is paying off commercially. They went from having 500,000 Spotify listens a month, give or take, to having 1.9 million. So it was winning people over. They were getting on bigger stages. They were making more money. And also fans like myself who really love the heavier side, we were kind of feeling like it was okay. But then they started releasing singles for Stigma. And it honestly felt like the final nail in the coffin to any hope that you could ever have of their traditional songwriting ever coming back, and for them to be able to do both at the same time. Everything they did on Manic felt like it was completely blown away. The first single that they released for Stigma was Magnetic, which is about being attracted to someone who you know is bad for you. Super original content. It premiered on Sirius XM's Octane, which should explain exactly what this track sounds like. It's painfully boring and bland. The lyrics are mind-numbing, and overall it sounds like the diet version of Lips of an Angel by Hinder. And the next single they released, Nails, spelled with the 5 instead of an S at the end, is completely different sounding, but honestly not much better. It's got an industrial vibe to it with annoying Valley Girl vocal fry. They do a decent job at mixing synth and pop punk influences. The heavier sections aren't super creative, but I gotta say they're not really half bad either. It's just very formulaic metalcore, lacking any originality. The last single that they released, Tombstone, was actually pretty decent. The main riff felt more inspired, and it didn't feel predictable in the slightest. They do repeat the hook and the chorus just a few too many times, making it feel very repetitive. But again, it's not really that bad. And the riff in the outro is one of the coolest freaking things I've heard in so long, and just the isolation around it is just so good. I listened to this song multiple times just so I could hear the outro. The opening track to the album has this really cool dubstep feel to it that I actually liked a lot. I feel like it makes for a really good intro, and it does amp things up quite a bit. It gives it some variety too, but honestly, it felt like it was too long, at least until you get to the breakdown, which is super trippy. And it flows straight into Self-Sacrifice, which is one of my favorite songs off of this album. Its main downfall here is the lyrics, though. They just don't really say anything. The verses aren't really the best either, but the chorus is absolutely sick. The post-chorus riff with the little Metallica-esque lick at the end sounds so freaking good, and the music and the vocals, to me, is what makes it one of the best songs on this record. And also, not all the slow songs on this album are bad. I actually kind of liked the song Blur. The vocal effect on the hook creates good imagery of a blur. The lyrics could have been a little bit better, of course. They're very superficial, but I still kind of enjoyed the song, especially the synth beat in the bridge. Once this song started, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit, and I was like, I know what to expect, but it actually drew me in on the first listen. And the more I listened to it, I mean, I didn't start disliking it. I still enjoyed it just about every time. Then we have Happy Hunting, which I feel like is one of the worst songs that this band has ever written. It's almost insulting, as it's just a bunch of cliche phrases strung together, played over a metal style dance mix. And honestly, there's not really much else to say about that song. Then we have another slow song, Being Sorta Good, again with the song Hellbent. It reminds me of something that could have been on their last album, Deadweight. The lyrics admittedly are pretty lame, and it's not very exciting. The breakdown is very basic, but what won me over were the vocals and the melodies. It made it to where, at least on my first couple listens, I didn't want to skip it, but this one did become a little bland after a while. And then we have this song, In My Blood, which sounds more like a Nickelback butt rock song from like the early 2000s. The hook is so boring, and again, it's another one of my least favorite songs, right up there with Happy Hunting and Magnetic. And then the blandness continues into the closing track, Is This How It Ends? And unfortunately, this is how it ends, with very, very basic songwriting paired with empty lyrics. The album wasn't the strongest of the band's performances, but this felt like one of the weakest endings you could ever expect. Overall, this record has a few songs that are worth going back to and listening again. The only problem is they're hidden amongst a lot of songs that aren't even really worth hearing once. The lyrics throughout this entire album feel very pointless, very shallow, very anthemy, very, hey, anybody can relate to these, because they don't actually really mean or say anything whatsoever. They're very vague, and a lot of the riffs just aren't really there. They do a good job, like I said, at adding in like different synth and pop elements, but beyond that, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really expand much more off of that. Somehow, based off of the singles, I gotta say this wasn't quite as bad as what I was expecting it to be. So with all that said, I gotta give Stigma by Wage War a 4.8 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling this album is going to get a lot of criticism because it's Wage War and people want them to make, you know, traditional sounding metalcore like they did in the past and not whatever it is that they did on this record. So leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Stigma, what your favorite song was, if you have one, and what you would rate it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. It helps out so much with YouTube's algorithm. It will keep my videos popping up in your recommended section on YouTube if you want to continue seeing me. And also, if you want to help support me and my channel further, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. You'll get notifications sometimes whenever YouTube wants to do it. And also, while you're down there, don't forget to let me know what you want me to review next. I'll do my best to make it happen for you. Been kind of busy lately, but I'm still trying to work at as many reviews as I possibly can. And I just thank you guys so much for constantly coming back and watching my videos and being interested in my opinions, however much you may or may not disagree with them. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.